And then
And if it's shit, then you can just not post it.
it's never rubbish. Darren can edit stuff out as well if I tell him to, so that's not to worry. So okay, cool. So welcome everyone. Welcome to this next edition of the podcast. Today we've got something a little bit different. We're going mobile grooming, and we've got friend and client Joe from Top Dog Mobile Grooming. How you doing, Joe?
Hey,
You all
not
right?
bad. Yeah, are you?
You're having a day off today, aren't you?
Yeah, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, my days off now.
Nice. And that was one of your goals when you joined our business program. But we'll discuss that in a bit. So first of all, how did you get into pet grooming, and what made you want to go down a mobile route?
I think it all stems from when I was about 8. We had a mobile dog groomer come to our house. We had a little cocker spaniel called Rascal, and the lady who groomed him actually only retired at Christmas.
Oh wow.
Yeah, she's been going all that time. And she used to come to our house, and I used to think it was great. Like, someone comes to the house and washes my dog and cuts his hair. Like, I thought it was great. And bearing in mind, this was over 20 years ago. And then I went to college straight from school. I went to Myerscough College. My all-time dream was to be a vet, but I wasn't smart enough. I
They
did
kind of dampen that down at A level states, don't they?
well as well. When I was a lot younger, I didn't realize actually how many years you had to spend at veterinary college.
Yeah, yeah.
And I didn't get anywhere near the GCSEs I needed. So I went to Myerscough. I always knew it was animals. I didn't know fully what, but it was animals. It was always been animals. Whether I explored the zoo, um, pet shops, kennels. I explored loads of different options. So I started off just doing my animal care,
Mm.
animal handling, animal husbandry, animal welfare, all the different things. And I think I got two or three diplomas. And then the grooming course came up, and I was like, and it took me back to the groomer that we had when I was younger. And I was like, oh, so I spoke to the tutor because it was only 1 day a week. It was 1 day a week over the course of an academic year.
Wow.
Um, yeah, but it meant that I could still work full time to pay for it rather than taking time off and doing like the intense courses that are around now. Because I don't think there was actually many of them around at 11, no, 12, 13 years ago.
What sort of year was that? 19 or 2000 and
I'm not that old. Um, well, God, I think it's been 13 years since I trained.
yeah.
So 2010?
Yeah. Yeah. So the industry then was not probably not as big as it is now. And like you said,
No,
the availability of courses and stuff like that probably wasn't as much as it is.
absolutely not.
There's probably a City and Guilds, was it, or something similar?
Yeah, yeah, City and Guilds. Um, so I looked into that, and because of the way that the course was set out, it was only 1 day a week, and they only ran it on that 1 day. It was a Monday, so they didn't run it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They only ran it on a Monday, so there was only 14 places available
Hmm.
for the whole year. So I applied for it. Excuse me, but I got accepted straight away. So I got on and I did that the following year, and I think I was only 20, something like that.
What were you doing whilst doing your 1 day a week in college?
Stacking shelves at Morrison's.
How did that? Did you have like goals in mind? Did you think, oh, I can't carry on doing this?
Yeah, yeah. So I was at Morrison's from when I was 19, and it put me through college
Hmm.
and it paid for the course, which, you do what you need to do.
Yeah.
And then it came to doing the course, so I had to move my days around. So I worked full time there, and then I went to college. And then I think there was a year or two between finishing the course and then setting up the business. And I was a bit in limbo because, well, to set up a business anyway it's a scary thing.
Yeah.
The monetary investment, the leap of faith, the self-doubt, all of that. So I think it took me about 2 years.
Did it get to the point where you were working and you just thought, I just can't do this any longer? And that what forced your hand, as it were?
That was exactly it.
Mm.
Like, I was so sick of the shit. And I remember one day I was like, I can't do. I mean, I was 23, and I was like, I can't do this for much longer. Like, it was awful. Like, customer service, no. So I started looking for vans, and I was just, you know, exploring options. And I remember I was talking to my mum about it because I was still living at home. I was only young. And I said to her, I said, I might just see if I can get a bank loan because I'd been saving a little bit anyway. But obviously, I was 23. I wasn't great with money back then. It wasn't bad, but I didn't have enough to pay for a van anyway. And I always thought I'd never get a brand new van as my first one, just in case, 'cause you never know.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, if I'm going to go down that route, get a second-hand one, see how it goes. And I spoke to the bank, and I got approved straight away. So I'd just taken out my first ever loan of £7,000.
Wow.
And I was like, ah, shit. I was like, it's just not real. And I'd had my eye on a van. And then I can't remember which came first, but I ended up handing my notice in at Morrison's because I got offered another job, and I thought it'd work better, this other job, as well as grooming, to try and build up a business and work at the same time.
Yeah.
So I handed in my notice at Morrison's, but the manager called me into his office and he didn't want me to leave. And he said, what would I have to do to make you stay? Because apparently I was a good employee. And I said, give me night shifts, because that would have been a lot better and it was more money.
Did he fall off his chair? I mean, who asks for night shifts?
Me.
He must have been
Me,
like, oh my God, just ask me for night shift.
Well, I'd applied for them a few months before and I'd been turned down. And I genuinely think it was because of my age and my gender.
Right.
But they can't say that. Because it was all like middle-aged men hauling these big pallets around and stacking shelves. And I was never scared of hard work, never have been. And I said, if you give me night shifts, I'll stay. And he said, okay, deal. He said, you can have a 2-week trial. And I started the next night. And I went and picked up my new van, and I worked 10 p.m. till 6 a.m. stacking shelves, went to bed till about 12, 1 o'clock midday, got up, and then I went out and groomed 2 dogs a day. And I did that 5 days a week for about 6 months.
Did you feel like a zombie?
No, I was all right.
Yeah,
23. You could take on the world. If I was to do that now, I'd be dead.
Yeah.
But yeah, I ended up buying my first van while I was working night shifts at Morrison's. And I remember I had to go pick up from Stoke-on-Trent, and I had to drive it all the way back to Blackpool. And it was this massive van, 3.5 ton, never driven anything that size before. It was a windy day, so the van was rocking side to side, and I was absolutely petrified
They're,
driving down the motorway.
they're big old beasts, aren't they? Can you remember the van when you were 8 years old and you had the van carrying around your house to do your little dog? Did you ever get to look inside it and see what they did and how they do it, how they did it?
I think so, yeah.
What can you
And
remember
I
what it was
think
like compared to what you purchased for yourself?
it wasn't much different, because the one I bought was quite an oldish van as well. That was 10 years old. So there wasn't much difference. Whereas if you compare my first van to the van I've got now, like it's so different. Like the way that the baths run are so different, the way that they're set up, the way that they're laid out, the materials used, they are so different now. And I think back and I think, how did I ever work in that?
When you were putting this together, I take it because you were inspired by the lady who came to your house when you were a child. Did you consider doing pet grooming any other way, or was it just no? That's kind of like the only way you knew, or
I think it was the only way I really knew, apart from the salon experience from training.
hmm,
But even still, it wasn't a, well, I say it's not, it wasn't a proper salon. It was at the college where I trained.
yeah.
So obviously, it's not your standard high street salon with a lot of foot traffic in and out. Um, so yeah, I don't think I really had any experience or insight to salons. I'd only ever known mobile, and I think going into it, it was just always mobile.
Hmm. And I know how much you talk about how much you enjoy being mobile. We'll sort of talk about that later, but what? How did you get any help setting up your business? Did you speak to anyone? How did you come up with your name? You just plopped it all out there and got on with it.
Yeah, I literally had no one. I had no groomer friends. I didn't know any dog groomers. I didn't know any business people. I didn't even know the Facebook groups existed, English Groomers Group, none of that. I literally knew nothing. I had a bit of help and advice from my tutor
Mhm.
who taught me, which I'm still in contact with today, actually. Um, but yeah, like I was thrown in at the deep end. And I remember going to my first ever client and being absolutely petrified. Like, I've just set up this business and these people are inviting me into the homes and to like take care of the dogs. And I'm 23 and I've just entered this whole new world. And I had no one to really talk to about it.
Mm.
It was very isolating at first.
Bit of imposter syndrome there as well. Sort of like, who am I to come in and groom these dogs?
Massively, yeah. Because okay, I've trained, but because it had been a while, I think at that point it'd been about 2 years, but I'd carried on. I'd done some friends and some families' dogs. You know, I'd kept using my equipment and kept up like learning the skills and watching videos on YouTube and trying to keep it fresh. But there's only so much you can do when you're not doing it as a job. So yeah, it was weird.
Thinking back to those first days, can you remember how much you were charging? Can you remember any of your first your first pay packet?
Uh, yeah, I think my average groom was £25,
Wow.
and that was like your standard Bichon, Shih Tzu, things like that. And I remember I got a copy of the lady's price list whose van I bought,
Hmm.
just to give me an idea. Because again, I had no groomer friends. I'd been online and I tried to pluck prices of people's websites, local groomers. Um, and a lady came and knocked on my door. I think it was a few days after I'd brought the van home. The van, the beauty of the van is it advertises itself.
Mm.
Excuse me. So you can park it anywhere. It's got your name and your phone number, mobile dog grooming, and it's a walking billboard. So a lady came and knocked on my door, and I remember she asked me for a price for, I think it was a Bichon she had, and I quoted her £35 because that was what was on this price list that this groomer gave me. And she was like, "Oh, that's too expensive. I only pay 25 now." And I turned around and I said, "I can do it for 25."
I'll do it for 24.
And obviously it was just so alien to me at the time that I was like, I need clients.
Yeah, and going back to that sort of time, did we have mobile payment devices and stuff like that, or was it all like cash and check and checks? Did we have? Was it
Check. I
checks?
took checks. I took checks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I remember actually within my first year I got done out of a check. I went to a St. Bernard and something else, and I didn't charge anywhere near enough for a St. Bernard for a start. And they paid me by check, and I went and cashed it the next day, and it bounced, and they cancelled it on their end, and they ignored every contact with me, so I never got paid for that job.
Did you not go around there? You knew where they lived.
Yes, they didn't answer the door,
I
didn't
see.
answer my phone calls, didn't return my messages, nothing.
So did you learn from that? Or how did that make you feel? Did that make you stronger, or did you sort of like have a wobble?
Both.
A strong
A
wobble.
wobble. Yeah. I had a wobble, and then it wasn't long after that I was like, no more checks. I didn't take checks again. Apart from there was one little old lady that I used to go to, and she never had cash, so she was allowed to pay by check. But no, I didn't take checks after that. I learned very early on from that mistake.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what I like. You're a very determined person, so I couldn't see someone actually crossing you twice, if that makes sense.
Fool me once, shame on. What is it? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, never again.
So what was being you're 10 years or 11 years into being a mobile groomer now, and obviously you got some things right because you're still here. How was the learning curve steady, or was it like really sharp and then sort of plateaued out and you found your rhythm and got happier with what you were doing?
I think it's steady because I'm still learning now.
Hmm.
It's like I'm in the middle of changing my business account to a new free business account to save myself some money. So I need to send all my clients my new bank details. But there'll be some people that won't be getting them details because some people I end up chasing payments. So that's another learning curve that with some people it'll be cash or card.
Yeah.
Because now I've got a card machine that makes it so much easier to take payment there and then. So I think through the last 11 years, it's been like a slow learning curve, and I'm still learning now. There's always stuff to learn, there's always things to change and improve.
Being part of a community where you've got people with salons around you, what would you say? Because obviously you've not worked in a salon and they haven't worked mobile. What would you say was any pros and cons? What would you say the pros of working mobile would be?
You're not stuck in one place.
Yeah, you've always said you
And
liked your freedom.
yeah, I do. I like that people run on my time, I don't run on theirs. So if I'm running 10 minutes ahead, I'll turn up 10 minutes ahead. I'm not sat in a salon looking at my watch, waiting for like 2 minutes past that they're not here yet. Because me personally, I run by the motto of if I'm early, I'm on time. If I'm on time, I'm late. And if I'm late, I don't like, I hate being late.
Yeah,
So I like that I run on my time and I'm not waiting on other people.
Is that quite
And
acceptable when you, is it like a different, if you turned up earlier, they're like, oh, hi, thanks for turning up. They don't get all grumpy because you've turned up early or anything like that. Is it more acceptable?
if I think so, because they're at home, so it's not really an inconvenience to them. If I'm ever going to be more than 15 minutes early, if I'm running ahead of schedule and it's going to be more than 15 minutes, I will text them and say, I'm running ahead. I can be with you in 10 minutes, if that's okay, or I'll give them a ring. But if it's only like 10, 15 minutes, I'll generally turn up and say, oh, I'm a bit early. Is that all right? And I'm like, yeah, it's fine. Sometimes they've nipped to the shop or the dog's out for a walk. I'm like, yeah, I'll get set up and I'll wait. I'm early. That's fine. But if I turn up and it's bang on time, like, oh, the dog's just gone for a walk. Yeah, not so much.
Do they like normal work people come in, like tradespeople? Do you get cups of tea? Do they make you tea and biscuits, sandwiches,
Oh
lunch?
yeah. Oh
You
yeah.
don't get that in salons.
Oh yeah. I mean, my old ladies especially. Like, I've had lunch, I've had breakfast, hot days. I have ice cream and ice lollies, and yeah, I've had hot chocolate, coffees, teas. I get offered all sorts.
Awesome. But tell us about obviously the some of the low parts of being mobile, I suppose, thinking about the hot days and the cold days. Does that affect your mood? Do you like, oh, it's snowing outside or
Yeah, massively. And I always say I have a winter wobble. It's called my winter wobble. And it's normally, I want to say, the back end of no anywhere between the back end of November and January.
mm,
December's not too bad because you've got Christmas, so you're a bit cheerier. But November and January, sometimes February can be bad as well. But yeah, being outside, having to set the van up and pack the van away, clients have you stood on the doorstep, they don't invite you in and it's chucking it down, blowing the gale, freezing cold, and you're stood there like shivering and you're blue, but they still want to have a chat. And when you're in and out all day and it's absolutely Baltic freezing, blowing a gale, chucking it down, they're the days that can be really like not just physically tough, but mentally
mm.
because your feet are freezing, you're wet through. It's like my first van, I didn't have a heater, no heating or anything in there. So that was tough. Whereas now I've got a little heater, which is great. It's like the best thing ever. Um, but over the years, I have made improvements over the winters to help. But yeah, I'd definitely say give me a hot day all day long, but cold winter days, they are they, they can be tough.
I was thinking in the wind, does it feel like you're standing in a boat? I was just wondering, does the van like sway from
Sometimes, yeah,
side to side?
yeah. I mean, I've been out a few times in a few storms, and being just on the coast as well. I mean, I've been out some days and it's been 80-mile-an-hour winds,
Wow.
and you're literally rocking.
But you got to get on with things, haven't you?
That's it. You got to get it done.
I was trying to think of some of the limiting beliefs that people might have around being a mobile dog groomer, and there's something that I always, when I work shifts, I always used to go out during the day on my days off during the week, thinking, why is there so many people around? Shouldn't they all be at work? I wonder if people think that about mobile dog grooming, thinking, well, no one's going to be around during the day. Who's going to use my services? Did that surprise you?
Co- COVID was great. COVID was brilliant because everyone works from home now.
Yeah.
So whereas pre-COVID, a lot of people were only available at weekends or one day during the week or after 4 p.m. or 3 p.m. Now, oh yeah, I'll just work from home that day. Yeah, book me in any day, I'll work from home. Or these are the days that so people are a lot more flexible now, which is great. Yeah, I'd probably say pre-COVID, a lot of people were limited a lot more. Like I had a lot of people who could only do weekends. That's why it's only been recently that I've given up my Saturdays. A lot of people were only available either before or after school hours, like depending on like when they pick the kids up. So I think my age range has changed. Like I used to go to a lot of elderly people who were retired, who were free majority of the time.
Mhm.
Whereas now my age range is a lot wider because a lot more people are available a lot more often now.
Yeah, the demographics sort of changed where people are at home more, I suppose.
Yeah, massively.
And you just like get them out of the garden, do them, then put them back in. Don't go
Yeah,
cold in the mud.
yeah. I mean, I have some people that I've been going to for almost 10 years now, and they might not even be home and they'll just say, "Oh, I've left your key, let yourself in, grab the dog, plug in, make yourself a brew, let me know how much I owe you."
Nice.
So that's another perk of being mobile, because if I suppose only my regulars do this who know me and trust me, um, but I have people who will get called into work last minute and they'll ring me and they'll say, "Oh, Joe, my key code is XYZ. Let yourself in, plug in." Whereas if I was a salon, they would have had to have cancelled that appointment
Yeah.
because they wouldn't have physically been able to get the dog to me because they were working.
We do actually get that's probably one of the most used excuses for not turning up is I've been called into work or I can't get to you. So
And
yeah,
I still get that a lot, but I'd say like with my regulars, I have had it where they've just left me to it.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? It's nice to feel that trust as well.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I remember the first few times that happened, and I was like, "Oh God, like, what if something goes?" Like when your mind just thinks of like ridiculous things, and they're like, "But what if you do actually get like burgled or broken into?" And I was the last person there.
Yeah, I suppose there's things to consider. And everyone, every pet, I've got five dogs at home. If you let my brown Chihuahua cross Jack Russell out, you'll be chasing him down to the park, which is probably about half a mile, because he doesn't stop. Once he gets out that front door, he's like a whippet on tiny legs. So everyone's house is different as well, isn't it? Whereas the Labradors would be like, "Oh, okay, hi, how you doing?" It's really difficult to know. Everyone has different routines and leads and stuff like that, don't they?
That's it. And if I'm going to someone who lives on a big, busy main road with no gates and a big driveway, and I'm letting myself into the house, and the dog's like right there,
Yeah.
like you've got to be quick and you've got to be careful.
Yeah, definitely. How do you find that with maybe something else that puts people off mobile grooming is the fact that you have to find parking and plug in. What does that mean when you say you have to plug in?
Yeah, so my power cable is 25 meters long. It's just the same as a caravan hookup lead,
Hmm.
exact same as that. So it plugs into the side of the van and then it's got to go into their mains electric. Can't use an extension because there's too much power that runs through it and it'll just blow the extension and it's a fire hazard. So I need to be able to park within 25 meters of their electric, which if their driveway is 20 meters long, means I need to be right outside. So it's something that it's the first question I ask anyone who's trying to book in. Do you have parking available? Because the amount of people that want a mobile groomer, but they either live on double yellows, fifth story flat, um, and just places where there's just no parking. So it's the first question. And within that, I always have to state that I need two car parking spaces, because the amount of people that think, "Oh, I'll just save a space with my little micra for you to fit your big van in," it doesn't work. And I've had it so many times. So I do have to say that I need two car parking spaces worth of space, and that I need to be able to park outside. just for electric purposes. And that sifts out probably 60% of people straight away.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you do take someone on and you get there and you can't park, do you still charge them for the appointment, or how do you deal with that situation?
So for a lot of years I didn't, just because I didn't have the courage to do that. So for a lot of years I didn't. Now it is in my terms and conditions that if I arrive and I can't park, full groom amount is chargeable, mainly for the time booked out specifically for them. I think they are pretty much my exact words. Because I always say that it's down to the person booking the appointment to ensure that I've got parking available if they're wanting to book a mobile groomer. Because there's plenty of salons around. You could get in at a salon, but if you want mobile, you need to basically have to put the money where the mouth is to ensure that I can park, because my appointments are like gold dust at the moment anyway. So I don't want to be wasting appointments or time turning up and not parking. Because if I can't park, then I physically can't do the dog anyway.
Right. What do you think is what do you think attracts people to to hiring mobile dog groomers? Why do you ever speak to your customers and ask them why they want a mobile groomer? Or is it obvious when you get there?
Convenience. I think we're in a society now, especially more than ever, that people want convenience with everything. I think we're in a society now where we're so used to having everything comes to us and everything so quick, and not having to do much these days for something, if that makes sense. So I think that's a big appeal to it, that they can be working and quickly answer the door and get the dog groomed, and they're not having to schedule an appointment on their day off. Think, oh, I've got to take Fluffy to the groomers on my day off, and I've got to take it, and I've got to drop it off, and then I've got to come back, and then I've got to wait around for 2 hours, and then I've got to go pick it up again. Whereas they can be at home, at work, answer the door to me, plug me in, Fluffy gets a groom, comes home, and they've not had to leave the house.
Yeah, convenience. So like the modern, the like you said, the new demographic is like working from home. It's more convenience for them. Then obviously there must be some people that just can't get out of the house. They haven't got access to transport or buses. There is a bus that go. Oh, we've had people come to us via a taxi. They've taken a taxi to the shop. But then what do you do once you drop the dog off? It's like you've got to
That's
be quite
it. You've
wealthy
got
to
to
get.
wait around.
Yeah, you've got to be quite wealthy to get a taxi. So I suppose again, that's convenience, isn't it? Where people can't physically get to a pet groomer.
That's it. Like I say, I've got a lot of elderly clients who have retired and don't drive anymore, so they're limited. Disabled people who can't get out, people who just don't drive, or people a bit further out that haven't got a local groomer. So I think it appeals to a lot wider of an audience.
Yeah.
Definitely. But going back to what you were just saying about like what about mobile appeals to people, I've got a lot of dogs as well who aren't dog friendly, who get very anxious around other dogs, and so that one-to-one aspect of having no other dogs and just being outside their home, they're a lot more well behaved and tolerate grooming a lot more than if they were to go to a salon.
Mm. Yeah, I can see that. And how do you look after your safety? Because obviously you're on your own, you're driving to people's houses, and I mean, I don't quite I mean safety from the owners maybe, but also safety from the dogs. Because do you do big dogs? I can imagine you sort of get backed into a corner with some big dogs. sort of stopping you from doing it?
Yeah, that's happened before. But no, I think it's about 3 years ago now, I made the decision to stop grooming big dogs. But I did for quite a while. I did for my first 7 years, but then my back felt like it was going to break.
Yeah, we had we've got a friend who's a vet, and she had to go and do a house call on a to do a vaccination on a very big dog, and she literally got pinned up against the wall. And the owner at the time, the real owner was at work, but obviously the other half was in the house and couldn't control the dog. And I was just thinking, like, there's times when you're on your own, aren't there? So you've got to be aware of your own safety at times.
Yeah, massively. There's been a few occasions where I, th I think as well, when you're around dogs so much, you start to trust your gut a lot more.
Mm.
And the slightest thing, and I think it's heightened when you're on your own as well, because the only thing that you can focus on is you and the dog. I think if you're in a busy salon and there's people in and out and you've got other people and other dogs, you you can be distracted a bit more. Whereas when you're in the back of a van with one dog, I think the slightest thing will put you on edge. And there's been a few times where I'm like, no, either you're getting muzzled or you go in.
You're getting the vibe off them.
Yeah, and there's been a few times where I've literally just I've had to leave the dog on the obviously the dog is secured, but I've had to leave the dog on the table and just go and get the owner and say, you need to come and get your dog, because I couldn't even get it off the table.
Yeah.
And at that point I will literally just throw my hands up and say I can't, and it's just not worth it.
No, that's it. You're in such a small confined area, and it's your life and blood, isn't it? Your hands are your tools. You don't want to be getting bitted and stuff like that.
That's it. I've had two bad bites in 11 years. And both times the owners were a bit blasé about it.
Mm.
But I think as well, the longer you go, the thicker your skin gets, and you're just like, it's not worth it.
No.
I'm not putting up with this shit.
No, definitely. Definitely. So we met, I think we discussed, we met about 10 months ago, didn't we, at Style to Rescue. I remember you walking through the door, and I was on my stand, the first one, just made a beeline to my stand. So I've been watching your videos, I've been listening to you all the way up. I was like, wow, okay, cool. What was your business like before you came to see me? What was going on in your business? How did you feel about it?
Uh, I think the first word that comes to mind was I was bored. I
Mm.
was very bored. I'd been to Crufts just before I'd seen you, so Crufts last year, and that kind of lit a spark again. Got some new equipment, some new products. So I'd probably say pre-Crufts 2023, I was oversubscribed, underpaid, overworked, bored, and it was just mundane. There was nothing driving me. There was no excitement. It was just groom this dog, groom this dog, groom this dog, groom this dog. That was it. I wasn't happy with my prices. I wasn't happy with certain things in my business, but I didn't know how to change it. And I think after so long, I've just become a bit stuck.
Kind of on a hamster wheel.
Yeah, definitely. And I knew I needed to change something, but I didn't know what. And then I went to Crofts and I bought some new products and some new equipment. And my best friend is a groomer also, and she does spa packages. And I was like, oh, that's a really good idea. And it was actually on our way home from Crofts that we were talking about this. So I then came home from Crofts, and even though I just spent a load of money, I then came home and spent a load more money. And she helped me put together a few different add-ons, which I'd never done before.
Mm.
So I got really excited about these, and I was like, oh, this is really good. This is something new and exciting. And I'd never heard of blueberry facial and paw fizz and all this new exciting stuff. And then I had new scissors and I had all this new exciting stuff come. So I started to change things up. And I wanted to, and I remember I said to my husband, I was like, this year I'm going to rein in and I want to focus on the business. And I felt like it become easy because I'd been going for 10 years. I didn't need to advertise. I didn't need to post on social media. I didn't need to answer the phone. Like the work came in and I didn't need to do anything. It was easy. And I thrive when I get a challenge.
Hmm.
And I like to challenge myself. And I think that was why I'd gotten so bored because I wasn't being challenged. So we started all this spa stuff and I started updating my social media and my husband made me some new Facebook templates and I started posting on Facebook a lot more because I could go months without posting on Facebook because I didn't need to. I didn't need to I felt like I didn't need to advertise. And then all of a sudden my social media started blowing up again and I was like, oh, I'm getting all these new inquiries and all these new people coming out of the woodwork. And then but I had nowhere to put these new people. So I was full for months ahead. Still am, but at least I'm doing new things now. And I was like, I think I need to put my prices up. And it's that dreaded, oh God, I need to put my prices up. I'm going to lose all my clients, even though the phone's ringing off the hook. And you just go into meltdown.
You don't think about the inquiries. How often would you put your prices up before then?
I'd like to say once a year, but I probably didn't even do it every year.
You were happy, weren't you? You know, you just treading water. The diary was booked. The money was coming in. You know, what's the change? You know, don't if it ain't fixed, don't if it ain't broke, don't fix it, kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think obviously now I know my figures inside out. Back then I didn't. So as long as I was paying my bills, that's all I was bothered about. You know, I had money coming in and my bills were getting paid. Obviously, you know, I didn't know exactly how much profit the business was making or, you know, what I needed to charge for XYZ. My bills were getting paid and that's all I cared about. And like you say, I was treading water. So
Did you reach out to your other half for help with the price increases? It sounded like he was a little bit involved in the business. Was he able to support you with that at all?
after I spoke to you and joined the program and did my first initial price increase that scared the hell out of me, I roped him into helping me with that a little bit. He sat on the couch with me and was going through figures and phone numbers and stuff like that. So he did get involved with that bit, yeah, and gave me a bit of moral support.
Yeah, it was. I think you joined us, didn't you? You joined us quite quickly after speaking to me, and you kind of wanted to put your prices up. That was kind of your main goal, wasn't it? But it wasn't like, oh, we still had quite a lot of mindset work to do, didn't we?
Massively, yeah, because it was I knew it needed to happen, and I'd been listening to your podcasts and things that you were saying were really resonating with me. And I remember one of them, you said, nothing with a three in it, nothing with a three in it. And I was like, how can I charge that for that? And how can I? And then, but then I look back 12 months ago and I'm like, how did I charge that for that? So the mindset shift has been massive. And that was one of the main things I needed to work on very early, very quickly. to get my mind right.
So what was it when you say your mindset? Was it your money story, your money mindset, or was it the damping down the fear reaction, the fear response, the feelings that you got before speaking to a customer about a price increase?
Everything, just everything. The fear of putting my prices up and fearing rejection and clients leaving, because something like that we talk about a lot is that emotional attachment that we get to our clients. When you've been with a client for so many years, you get that emotional attachment, and it's like, well, I don't want to put the prices up because I don't want to lose them, but you have to, it's business, and that's what you need to keep telling yourself, that it is just business. And I think because I'd been going for 10 years, I'd say 70% of my clients were long standing, over 5 years, regulars. And I felt an emotional attachment to way too many of them. And so there was that barrier of putting the prices up. There was a lot of imposter syndrome, feeling like I didn't deserve it or I wasn't worthy. But I knew I was, because I also knew. So I had that on one hand, but then on the other hand, I was like, no, I'm a damn good groomer. I'm a mobile groomer. And
Mm.
that's what they're paying for. So it was like, like when you see on film, you got a devil on one shoulder and an angel on the other. And it was like that, but in my own head. Uh, and it was just the fear of actually doing it and talking to people about money, because I think sometimes it's a very British problem, isn't it? We don't like talking about money. We don't like asking for money. And even though it's your money, you still don't like asking for it. Like, even in some of the Facebook groups, I see so many comments of, oh, my client's not paid me from 2 days ago. How long do I leave it before I ask for? And there's this whole weird thing around money with us Brits, that we don't like asking for it, even though it's our money.
Yeah, and our money stories play into that as well, don't they? How money was dealt with when we were kids and growing up and stuff like that. But you're right, money is a reward for the work that you've done, isn't it? It's a fair exchange. You're trading your time for their money, so you deserve it. You need to get it. You need to get it in your bank.
That's it.
Can you remember? Was there like can you remember the shift where you just went, right, no, that's it. I'm picking the phone up and I'm phoning the first client. Was there anything particular that stood out? Was there a particular masterclass or a coaching call or someone say anything that just went, no, that's it. I'm done. I'm ready to put my prices up.
Well, I didn't phone anyone. That first price increase, I just about managed to summon up the courage to do the price increase, but I still couldn't pick up the phone and speak to people face to face. But I think it was just a compilation of being on the coaching calls. My mindset was slowly starting to change, but just being around such a supportive community of people who had all gone through this themselves, who were where I was in that moment when they first joined the program, and people saying, "Oh, you'll be fine," and do X, Y, Z, and people can tell their stories and can relate. But I think because it's such a intimate group, like there's English groomers group, there's Grouch groomers group, there's the big business group, the big groups, whereas this, it's such an intimate group of groomers who all share the same mindset, the same goals, the same aspirations. That helps 10 times over with the mindset. So I think just being around them people, them sorts of people, and constantly having that positivity the mentors, the coaching calls, it didn't take long for the mindset to start changing.
Mm.
So that was when I did the first price increase, and I sat down and I was like, right, get shit done.
How much did you put them up? Can you remember?
£5 to £10 to start with, but that wasn't my only price increase.
No, it wasn't, was it? So,
No.
you've been in business for 10 years, and if you're lucky, or if they're unlucky, you did a price increase maybe once a year, maybe every other year. You can't really remember. It wasn't really significant. Didn't really. How many price increases have you done now?
So I did my first one just after I joined the program, which was last May, and I did another one last month, and I did one in between.
So three already.
3 in 10 months. One of them, I did my first one in May, and then I did another one late summer because I realised it was my own fault. When I did the first one, for some reason, for 10 years, I did multi-dog discount, something I'd always done. It was justified, well, in my mind, it was justified because I was saving on travel time and fuel and things like that. And then I realised that salons don't do that, and loads of other places don't do that. And I was like, why am I doing that? So I was like, well, that's got to go. But I hadn't realised when I did my first price increase about that. Otherwise, I should have just done it all at once. But then after my first price increase, and some dropped off, and then I replaced them with a few that were paying a little bit more. And I was like, I was like, hang on a minute. And there was a few that I wasn't quite happy with from the first price increase. So they went up again, and my multi-dollar discount disappeared. And so in turn, they went up again. And then, so that was 2 price increases last year for some people. And then I did my standard yearly one just a bit earlier this year. And then that was April. And that was the first one. I spoke to no, sorry, not every single. I spoke to 90% of my clients face to face about their price increase. And I
And
started, sorry, go on.
what I was gonna say is you've gone from being really fearful about your price increases when you first started to now I can see it on your face when you're talking about it. You're like kind of enjoy it. You're kind of planning it, and you're like, yes, I'm gonna do another price increase, and I'm going to achieve this, that, and the other. And you can see the excitement in you when you're talking to people in the on the calls and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, price is going up again.
Well, it was January, and I had some spaces come up, um, some free appointments, and I thought, you know what? I thought I'm going to work a couple of my days off this month in January, and I'm going to fill these spaces, and I'm going to really test my prices. And I think I advertised about 15 appointments, and they went like that, all at higher prices. I mean, prices that I even shocked myself with some of them. And that spurred me on for this price increase that I've just done, because I filled them slots straight away. And I was like, well, if new clients will pay them prices, then surely my existing ones will. And I was going over it, and it got me excited. And I thought, well, I'm going to start speaking to people. And this was in the January. So I planned my price increase for the 1st of March. So all throughout January and February, I spoke to people. I think there was an overlap of about a week of people that I didn't see. And they just got a quick text. And then, so I spoke to everyone in January, everyone in February. And I said, oh, just so you know, 1st of March, price increase. it's going up by X amount. Because as well, it was then that I knew I wanted to start introducing teeth cleaning. So I needed some gaps as well. So I knew that new clients would pay these higher prices, and I knew that I needed to free up some space to introduce teeth cleaning. So it was a case of playing around, and I needed to create some space, and I wanted to earn a bit more money without working as hard.
And you certainly have done that, because you started on 5 days a week, didn't you? And now you've dropped down to 4 days, haven't you? So you kind of,
When I'm not cleaning teeth,
yeah, when you're
yeah,
not
it should
doing
be a 4-day week.
so you've dropped down to a 4 day week, and you're earning more money now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, massively.
So when you joined us 10 months ago, what was sort of your standard prices? What were you charging for a Bichon then?
40,
Okay, and cockapoo and stuff.
45.
And then what if you had a new customer coming to you tomorrow and they're like, perfect client, love to take them on? What would you be quoting them or asking them to pay?
What, for a Bichon and a
For a Bichon,
cockapoo?
yeah,
Bichon 55, cockapoo from 60.
nice, nice. How does that make you feel? You got a big smile on your face.
Well, that's it. You think like literally a year ago, there's like a £20 difference. And I think I had a look, and every client's gone up at least £10
Mhm.
at a minimum. So you think 5 dogs a day, it's 50 quid a day,
Yeah.
4 or 5 days a week. It's a nice jump.
Do we need to do the maths just to have a look at that? One sec. I have to get my calculator out. My it's in the afternoon, isn't it? So 50 times 5, that's 250 times 48 weeks a year. Well, that's 12 grand. That's a 12 grand pay increase, isn't it? Price increase in 10 months.
And that's literally just from a few mindset changes.
Yeah. So that was your price increase, but other things have been going on as well, haven't they?
Yeah,
Tell us about the extras that you're introducing your teeth cleaning. How are you finding that?
yeah, I love it. I,
I think that was one of the goals when you came to me. It was that you wanted to get this in.
yeah, because I struggled massively with it. I, it's been 12 months I procrastinated over it because I first wanted to explore it and look into it last year at Crufts. And I remember going to the Emmy Pet stand and talking to the ladies there. But then I had people saying, oh, it might not take off, there might not be a demand for it, people will pay it. And then I was thinking, well, what if I'm no good at it? And what if I can't get these results? So again, you see things in the Facebook groups, and it's like, oh, I can't do it, and I'm not achieving the results, and I've got to do it this, and I've got to do it like that. And there's just always so many people throwing opinions at you. Um, and I ummed and ahed about it. But my biggest challenge I faced was I was booked 2, 3 months in advance. I was booked solid with dogs. Like I say, I was oversubscribed. So I was like, well, where am I going to put these dogs for teeth cleaning? Because I was still working 5 days at that time. I was like, I definitely don't want to work 6 days a week. And then that came into, well, I need to put my prices up, I need to free up some time. And as bad as it sounds, when you need to free up some time, you need to lose some clients. And that was one thing I struggled with massively because these are clients who have always been loyal, who I've been going to for years, but you're, as a business person, saying, I need to free up some time. So it's a constant battling in your head of, I need time, but I don't want to let clients go. So I fought with that for quite some time. And then all last year. I think I kept coming, I came back to you 3 or 4 times over it. And I was like, I want to do it, and then I don't want to do it, and I've not got time for it, but I could do this. And I just procrastinated over it way too much. And then I think I was on a coaching call. Yeah, it was a Monday. It was in November, beginning of November. And we were just on about like getting shit done, and people were like, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And then I think you said something about teeth cleaning, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to order it. Because at that point, I'd still not even ordered it.
Yes.
And I literally came off the call and I ordered it, and I reordered the training because I'd done the training back in May, April or May after Crux, to try and spur me on to do it. So I reordered that. So I was rewatching like the online webinars and all that, ordered the kit, and that was in November, and it still took me till New Year to get it out of the box. It sat there in the box for about 8 weeks. And then I started practicing. As soon as I started practicing, I fell in love with it. Because I practiced on my dogs and some family's dogs. And once I started to see the results, because I'd done all the online learning, I'd researched so much, because as well, like when you're about to advertise something completely new, stepping out of your comfort zone, I wanted to make sure I was confident in what I was doing.
Yeah.
So I did so much research, so much online training. But because it's such a practical thing, you need that practical side of it. So I practiced on quite a few family and friends' dogs. And then I started advertising it the start of February.
That's it. And you've got the community around you to ask lots of questions and how they do it and how they advertise it. So that's helped, isn't it?
Yeah, that's been invaluable.
And what sort of price point did you go in at?
So my first initial session is 65 to 70. I'm already thinking about putting that up a little bit more. Consultations £20 or free with a groom. So if I'm there grooming the dog, I don't mind doing a consultation while I'm there, but being mobile, if they're not a grooming client, then I just charge what I charge for nails, which is like my call out charge of £20.
Nails. We've put some cats amongst the pigeons, haven't we? And some nail trimming wins that we've put out there. You've I've said this before. I sometimes come along and I meet someone and we do the lessons and the learning, and it's like having this big key that you get stuck into your head. It's a strange analogy, isn't it? I stick this key into your head and unlock your like business brain, because now your business brain is like fizzing away, isn't it? It is alive and kicking. Tell us about your toenail, your love of toenails.
I love nails. I absolutely love nails. I used to do the odd one or two, but it was never something I really like honed in on.
Hmm.
And I think it was just on one of the coaching calls, and it was when we were on about pricing. 'Cause I know that you mentioned quite a bit, like how much you charge just for nails and why you're doing nails for free. And so when I was doing my price increase, I think I was charging £15 for one lot of nails, and then they could add another dog for a fiver. So when I did my price increase, I put that up to 20, and then they can add another dog on for 10. And I started pushing it a little bit more and advertising standalone services, which is something that I've never really advertised for some reason. I did I got inquiries, but then I really started to like zone in on it. And I was like, well, actually, if I do one a day over 5 days, that's an extra £100 a week. So I did. I really started pushing it, and it just blew up, and it's great, and I love it.
So, so do you think you're getting one a day over? Because I think you do them on your way home, don't you? You sort of advertise them and pick them up on your way home. Were you actually doing one a day, 5 days a
Near
week,
enough, yeah, near enough.
£20? So 100.
Mm.
So you've done a £12,000 price increase. I'm just writing some maths down here. If we do it over 48 weeks to make it easy, so £4,800 in toenails. Does that sound about right?
I think last year my book's over there. Give me 1 second. I can give you some figures. So last year, just from nail clipping, I did £3,320.
Wow. This is what you're saying. You're all over your books. You know, you know how much you're doing.
And then, so that was just for nails. And this year already, what's the date?
March the 18th.
18th. Already, I've done £1,490.
Wow. And
So
I can see that this is what kind of motivates you. And it's finding that thing that motivates someone. And this target driven kind of like I don't know if it's money that it I think it's the targets, it's the wanting. Are you a competitive person?
I can be.
Yeah.
Like, I know that I want to beat last year's figure on that.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm keeping track of it, and that's why I'm quite pleased already, because I'm already on track to, if I carry on, I'm on track to beat that. But that won't come naturally. It won't just fall in my lap.
No.
So that's what I'm working. I want to make sure I beat that figure.
And the beauty of it, although you're a target driven person, I mean, it just so happens that it's money. That's a bonus, isn't it? The target is money, but like you were saying, and this is the important bit, isn't it? That target or that competitiveness or those goals drives you on to do the marketing around the toenail clinics and the constant marketing around the add-ons and stuff because people might see the wins in the Facebook groups that people are achieving, but this thing doesn't happen on its own, does it? You've got to put in the hard work.
That's it. Like, I never used to promote, advertise. I'd throw a picture of a dog on once a week, once a fortnight, a cancellation. Whereas now I'm constant, and I'm staying constant on my social media to reassure people that I'm here, this is what I'm doing. Because as well, Facebook isn't what it used to be 10 years ago. Like 10 years ago, you put something on your business page, and everyone who liked your business page saw your post. And
Hmm.
it's not like that anymore. You stick something on your business page, you've got 4 or 5 thousand people on that page. Sometimes you're lucky if 100 people see that post. So it's, posting at different times of the day to try and reach more people, because someone might see a post in the morning, but then they might not be on Facebook for the rest of the day. Or some people might only scroll in an evening. So if you're posting first thing in the morning, so, spreading your posts out and making sure that you're posting at different times of the day to reach different people, posting on your story so it's constant for 24 hours, and just doing all that, and just kind of throwing it in people's face.
Yeah, get in their faces.
Yeah.
And do you find now you're starting to do that? Are people now contacting you saying, "Oh, when is your next nail trimming day?" Or can I book my dog in for nails again, please?
Yeah. So I'll get people saying, "Oh, my dog's glands need doing. Are you in my area this week?" Or my dog's nails need doing. And they know that I offer these standalone services because I'm constantly shouting about it.
And so one of your biggest wins, well, apart from the extra sort of 15 grand that you've earned in a few months or within the year, is the £400 nail trimming day and stuff like that. I mean, that's incredible, isn't it? What did you feel like when
Yeah.
you came home that day? Like, was it £460 in dog toenails or something like that?
430 my last one.
Yeah,
It should have been 460, but someone wasn't home,
no
which
shows.
annoyed me. Um, but yeah, I remember coming home and saying to my husband, like, it's insane that I've literally gone out for 6 hours, I think
Mm,
it was. Didn't groom a single dog, and obviously it was advertised as a organised event. It was a day that I'd set aside specifically just for nail trim, and I yeah, 430 pounds just from clipping nails.
If you spoke to Joe this time last year and said, in a year's time, you're going to be doing nail trimming and you're going to earn £430 in one day, what would you have said?
I'd probably just laugh, like no way. Um, but one thing I will say, obviously, like right now we're talking a lot about money, and don't get me wrong, the money side of it is amazing. The changes that I've implemented the last 12 months are amazing. And it's not all about the money, but it's what that money allows you to do.
Hmm.
So, like we touched on, I'm now working 4 days rather than
Oh,
five,
sorry.
sorry. You never know, it might be three soon. Um, so I've dropped today, and my husband's dropped today as well. So now we're both working 4 days a week, and we get 3 days off together. You know, we've never had the same days off together. We've never been able to like just take random weekends. So we're getting a lot more time together.
I hope that's a
And
good.
it's been for now, for now. So it's things like that putting your prices up. Yes, the money is nice, but it also buys you time, and you're not working yourself to death for peanuts,
Yeah.
because this job is physically and mentally hard. And that's what a lot of people don't realize. And if someone could have told me when I first started grooming about how hard it is on your body, how hard it is mentally, and to put your prices up and to be higher priced straight off the bat, I think it'd save a lot of groomers so much hard work. It'd weed out the harder ones. It'd save your body. It'd save a lot of mental breakdowns because we see it in the big group all the time. Burnout is real.
Mm.
Stress, anxiety, it's real. And it's hard enough to run a business anyway without added physical and mental extras. So I think putting your prices up and being more expensive and earning more money, one, it makes the job a hell of a lot more enjoyable because you're not overworked, you're not overstressed, you're not burnt out. You're able to take weekends off. weeks off, go away, have a life outside of work. So your mental health is a lot better. You've got that work-life balance. So I know that, especially in the big group, I think a lot of people think that we talk about money a lot, and yes, we do. But it's not just about the money, it's what the money allows us to do. And that's just one thing that I wanted to put across, that yes, it is nice earning more money and the changes I've made the last 12 months, but it's what that has allowed me to do personally: spend more time with friends and family, more holidays, more weekends away, but more enjoyment from my work because I'm not overworked and not overstressed. Like, I've got my passion back, which is one thing that I had lost before last year.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I completely agree. I feel that I talk a lot about money, but like you said, people say time is money, but actually we reverse that, and money buys you time.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, yeah. So where do you see Top Dog Mobile Grooming in like 2 to 3 years' time? What can you see yourself doing?
I
Three
have
days a
no
week?
idea. Uh, I'd like to say yeah, but probably not, because I'm loving what I'm doing at the minute. My next my next goal, which I think I'm looking at working towards for next year, is sticking to working 4 days a week. So I work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but I want to dedicate Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to grooming, and Fridays just to nails and teeth.
Mm-hmm.
So on a Friday, I want to be hitting my daily target, but without grooming a dog.
Yeah, nice. And be home at a good time.
Yeah, that's another thing that I've been able to do with this price increase. So with going down to 4 days back in August, I thought, well, if I work an extra hour, it'll offset losing a bit of money. So when I first went down to working 4 days a week, I had in my head, right, work till about 6 o'clock, but I got an extra day off. So for me, it was a fair trade. 3 days off, but the 4 days that I worked till 6. Now, with my price increase, I'm home for 5. So, what, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, 7 months it took me to get rid of that hour.
Well done. Well done. Well, there you go. It's been lovely talking to you, and especially wanted to bring you in onto the podcast with the mobile element as well. It's something people need to look at and consider. You spent £7,000 on your first loan. How do you feel about that now?
It's quite a good investment in return.
Yeah, good investment. So you've got to be brave, haven't you? You've got to be brave to get anywhere. But I think you've shown the listeners that, hard work, some help, and some changes in your business can make some really big changes to your personal life as well. So I'm so pleased to sort of hear the changes, and have watched you sort of the highs and lows, the wobbles and the victories, and looking forward to many more victories. Thanks
Yeah,
a lot. Yeah, thanks a lot, Joe. And I'll catch up with you soon.
yeah, thank you.